Why do music keys do this? Well, the answer is, as you move further and further away from the key of C by the interval of a fifth, the number of sharps and flats increases. Watch. Can you see that the number of sharps or flats in a key is based on how far the key is away from C major? Those keys which are further away from C major on the piano or on the circle of fifths are remote keys or distantly related keys. For example, F sharp major shares very few notes with C major due to the number of notes which are sharp in F sharp major. But why are keys with sharps and flats laid out like this? There is a historical reason why keys are laid out like this, which I will explain later in the video. But first, I want to explain fully how the keys are laid out and how the layout relates to the number of sharps and flats a key has. Can you see that the number of sharps increases as we move to the right? And can you see that the number of flats increases as we move to the left? And can you see the keys are equally spaced apart? All the keys are a fifth apart. If you are not familiar with the interval of a fifth, let me explain. What is a perfect fifth? An example of moving an interval of a perfect fifth is from the note C to the note G. A perfect fifth is a movement of 7 semitones. So we start on C, move 1 semitone, 2 semitones, 3 semitones, 4 semitones, 5 semitones, 6 semitones, and 7 semitones and land on G. Now watch on the piano. This shows the movement from C to G with 7 semitones as the interval of a perfect fifth. We move right in perfect fifth intervals to find the keys with sharps. And we move left in perfect fifth intervals to find the keys with flats. Now let's take a look at the order of sharps and flats. Even the sharps and flats move in fifths. We can use the mnemonic Father Charles goes down and ends battle to remember the order of sharps. We start with F sharp. We move 7 semitones to the right to find our next sharp, which is C sharp. We move 7 semitones or a perfect fifth to the right to find G sharp, and again for D sharp, and again for A sharp, again for E sharp, and finally to B sharp. The order of flats is just the order of sharps backwards. And here you can see the order of sharps and flats together. So let's look first at the keys with sharps. This piano diagram has one extra octave than a normal piano would, but it's easier to see the patterns of keys using this extended piano. We start at C major, which has no sharps and flats. We move right by an interval of a perfect fifth to reach G major, which has 1 sharp, which is the first sharp in our order of sharps. We move right by another interval of a perfect fifth to reach D major, which has 2 sharps. This has F sharp and C sharp in its key signature. We move right by another interval of a perfect fifth to reach A major, which has 3 sharps. We have F sharp and C sharp from D major with the addition of G sharp. We move right by another interval of a perfect fifth to reach E major, which has 4 sharps. It has F sharp, C sharp and G sharp from A major, and now we add D sharp. We move right again by the interval of a perfect fifth to reach B major, which has 5 sharps. We have all the 4 sharps that we had in E major, and now with an extra sharp, which is A sharp. We move right again by an interval of a perfect fifth to reach F sharp major. We have F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp and A sharp from B major, and we add the extra sharp, which is E sharp. And finally we move right by an extra perfect fifth to reach C sharp major, which has 7 sharps: F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, A sharp and E sharp from F sharp major, and now with another extra sharp, which is B sharp. Here is a demonstration of this on the piano. Now let's see if we can use this information to answer some questions. Identify this key signature which has 6 sharps. To answer this question, you're going to start in the key of C and move right by perfect fifths until you get to key number 6. And we easily identify that the key with 6 sharps is F sharp major. As we now know our order of sharps, we can also name these sharps too. This is F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, A sharp and D sharp. And here we have a second question. Identify the key signature with 3 sharps. To do this, you're going to start in the key of C major and count up in perfect fifths until you get to key number 3. And again, we easily identify that the key with 3 sharps is A major, and we can name these sharps from the order of sharps, F sharp, C sharp and G sharp. Okay, let's now move on and have a look at the keys with flats. We start in the key of C major, which has no sharps or flats. We move left by the interval of a perfect fifth and reach the key of F major, which has 1 flat, which is a B flat. We move left again by the interval of a perfect fifth and we reach B flat major. The B flat from F major remains and we add E flat. We move left again by the interval of a perfect fifth and we reach E flat major, which has 3 flats, B flat, E flat and A flat. We move a perfect fifth left again, this time reaching A flat major, which has 4 flats, B flat, E flat, A flat and D flat. We move left again by the interval of a perfect fifth to reach D flat major, which has 5 flats, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat and G flat. We move left again by the interval of a perfect fifth to reach G flat major, which has 6 flats, the 5 previous flats, as well as adding C flat. We move left again by the interval of a perfect fifth and we reach C flat major, which has all 7 flats. Here's how it looks on the piano. Let's have a go at some questions. Identify this key signature which has 5 flats. We're going to start in C major and count down 5 keys to find our answer. The key which has 5 flats is D flat major, and we know these to be B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat and G flat. Let's try another question. Identify this key signature which has 2 flats. We're going to start in C major and count down 2 keys to find our answer. And the answer is B flat major. The 2 flats are B flat and E flat. But why do the number of sharps and flats increase by 1 as we move away from the key of C? The answer to this question lies in ancient Greece back in 570 BC. A long time ago, back in 570 BC, a man named Pythagoras, yes, the same Pythagoras that developed his theorem on right-angled triangles, decided to calculate interval sizes that would produce each note on a scale. He calculated the interval of a pure fifth using mathematics, and then used this to find every other note on the scale. It didn't work perfectly, and if you're interested in the reason why, you can watch my 45-minute long video on Pythagorean tuning on my YouTube channel. To cut a very long story short, Pythagoras ended up with the 12 notes he needed. Some notes were flat and some notes were sharp, compared with the tuning we use today. Pythagoras' tuning system, and therefore each of the 12 pitches created from it, continued to be used for another 2,000 years after his death, and well into the Renaissance period. Eventually, after going through various other tweaks and changes, Pythagoras' tuning system was altered, so the gap between every key was exactly a perfect fifth, and therefore the circle of fifths was born. For the circle of fifths to work perfectly, it meant that every note on a scale had to be exactly one semitone apart when placed next to each other as a scale. Have a look at how the tuning using fifths became a scale, which is exactly what Pythagoras did. This meant that the Pythagorean diatonic scale was also adapted to have a particular pattern of tones and semitones, what we now call a major scale. When harmony was developed long after Pythagoras died, it was important to be able to play a piece of music in any key, transposing when needed. Therefore, we needed to create scales which had the same sound but started on different notes. So let's look at how the pattern of tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone plays out to produce all of our scales. We start with the pattern in C major, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. We move up a fifth to G major, which has one sharp. Notice how G major starts on the fifth note of C major. We then raise the seventh note, so F becomes F sharp. The next scale starts on the fifth note of G major, which is D major. We keep the F sharp from G major and we raise the seventh note to C sharp. This is why D major has F sharp and C sharp in it. This method of retaining the sharps from the previous key and then raising the seventh of the new key preserves the tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone pattern. Our next scale starts on the fifth note of D major. We keep the F sharp and C sharp from D major and we raise the seventh note of A major, which is G sharp. And this pattern continues. The next scale starts on the fifth note of A major, which is E major. We keep the F sharp, C sharp and G sharp from A major and we raise the seventh note of E major, which is D sharp. And the pattern continues. Our next scale starts on the fifth note of E major, which is B major. We keep F sharp, C sharp, G sharp and D sharp from E major and we raise the seventh note of B major, which is A sharp. Our next scale starts on the fifth note of B major, which is F sharp major. We keep F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp and A sharp from B major and we raise the seventh note of F sharp major, which is E sharp. And our final scale starts on the note of C sharp, which is the fifth of F sharp major. We keep the F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, A sharp and E sharp from F sharp major and we raise the seventh note of C sharp major, which is B sharp. Here's what the key relationships look like on the piano. The scale of C major. The scale of G major starting on the fifth note of C major. The scale of D major starting on the fifth note of G major. The scale of A major starting on the fifth note of D major. The scale of E major starting on the fifth note of A major. The scale of B major starting on the fifth note of E major. The scale of F sharp major starting on the fifth note of B major. The scale of C sharp major starting on the fifth note of F sharp major. Sorry, the notes on the piano ran out. Let's have a look at how the pattern of tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone plays out in our keys with flats. The flat keys work opposite to the sharp keys. In the sharp keys, we started on the fifth note of the previous scale, keeping the same sharps from the previous scale too, and then raising the seventh note of the new scale by one semitone. This maintained the pattern of tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. The flat keys work in the opposite way to this. The new scale starts a fifth down from where the previous scale started, and we introduce the new flat by raising the seventh note of the previous scale. So as we did with the sharp keys, we begin with C major, which has no sharps or flats. The next flat key starts a perfect fifth lower than the previous key. As the previous key was C major, we start the next scale on the note F, which will be F major. The flat which occurs in F major is B flat, which is the flattened seventh note of C major, which I have highlighted in red. The next flat key starts a perfect fifth lower than the previous key. As the previous key was F major, we start the next scale on the note B flat, which is B flat major. We keep the B flat from F major and add the flattened seventh note of the previous key of F major, which is E, and I have highlighted this in red. Therefore, the key of B flat major has the key signature of B flat and E flat. The next flat key starts a perfect fifth lower than the previous key. As the previous key was B flat major, we start the next scale on the note E flat, which is E flat major. We keep the B flat and E flat from B flat major and add the flattened seventh note of the previous key of B flat major, which is A, and I have highlighted this in red. Therefore, the key of E flat major has the key signature of B flat, E flat and A flat. The next flat key starts a perfect fifth lower than the previous key. As the previous key was E flat major, we start the next scale on the note A flat, which is A flat major. We keep the B flat, E flat and A flat from E flat major and add the flattened seventh note of the previous key of E flat major, which is D, and I have highlighted this in purple. Therefore, the key of A flat major has the key signature of B flat, E flat, A flat and D flat. The next flat key starts a perfect fifth lower than the previous key. As the previous key was A flat major, we start the next scale on the note D flat, which is D flat major. We keep the B flat, E flat, A flat and D flat from A flat major and add the flattened seventh note of the previous key of A flat major, which is G. Therefore, the key of D flat major has the key signature B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat and G flat. The next flat key starts a perfect fifth lower than the previous key. As the previous key was D flat major, we start the next scale on the note G flat, which is G flat major. We keep the B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat and G flat from D flat major and add the flattened seventh note of the previous key of D flat major, which is C, which I have shown in red. Therefore, the key of G flat major has the key signature B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat and C flat. Our final flat key starts a perfect fifth lower than the previous key. As the previous key was G flat major, we start the next scale on the note C flat, which is C flat major. We keep the B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat and C flat from G flat major and add the flattened seventh note of the previous key of G flat major, which is F, which I have shown in red. Therefore, the key of C flat major has the key signature B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, C flat and F flat. Let's have a look at how these key relationships play out on the piano for the flat keys. The scale of C major. The scale of F major starting a perfect fifth lower than C major. The scale of B flat major starting a perfect fifth lower than F major. The scale of E flat major starting a perfect fifth lower than B flat major. The scale of A flat major starting a perfect fifth lower than E flat major. The scale of D flat major starting a perfect fifth lower than A flat major. The scale of G flat major starting a perfect fifth lower than D flat major. The scale of C flat major starting a perfect fifth lower than G flat major. I hope this video has helped you to answer the question why music keys are set out in fifths. Thank you for watching.